because Mr. Bhaskar Bhattacharya ji, who represent IPSA, he is not able to come due to the visa problems. So on behalf of IPSA Bangladesh, I am representing here. Okay. Yeah, DAISY Forum of DAISY for All in Bangladesh is actually a kind of a collaboration between DAISY Consortium and the IPSA. In 2005, there is a Nippon Foundation. They have started their work and they implemented this DAISY technology in whole Southeast Asia. So with the help of Nippon Foundation, DAISY, the Bangladesh IPSA, they have implemented the DAISY technologies in Bangladesh. The basic reason of implementing these technologies in Bangladesh because there are 30 million people, so 30% of the, they are totally blind, or among of those 30% people, 80% people are illiterate. So accessing the local content and accessing the news, local content books, it's not in their reach because accessing those books as a print material, it's not possible for those people who are blind or who are illiterate. For them, they have used a different kind of terminology that is called DAISY. They have recorded the books and the social issues in a interesting drama type. Like for a lady, means there's a normal problem called divorce problem in Bangladesh. Like people say that if we say 3 times talaq, you will get divorce. But there is a law in Bangladesh as well. So, but these illiterate ladies, they don't know. So what these website does, they recorded a drama and provided it to the local villages and panchayats kind of system over there. They listen to this because they can't read it, so they can listen actually in local language. They listen to it and they understand that by just saying 3 times talaqs, it's not a kind of the situation where you got the divorce. There is a law, there is a kind of judiciary system, you have to follow those systems. This is kind of a brief introduction of e-content and the ICT for the Development Awards 2010 they got. And the most important thing is this DAISY technology, the work of IPSA, has been identified by the government of the Bangladesh. These all things are in a national repository and everyone can download it from there at free of cost. All these dramas created in the local language has been identified the government, is available in each and every village. So anyone who want to read or who want to listen to this, they can go to the Gram Panchayat, listen to it from their local library and get the information. Thank you.
Thank you. I understand that because of this absence of the person who had presented this, a very limited scope of knowing about the whole things, but nevertheless, thank you very much. Any question to him? There is no question. Then I will thank you again. Then I will call upon the representative from FINO.
Good morning. My name is Sunil Gupta. I am the CTO of a company called FINO. As Mr. Ashish Sanyal said, that recently it has become a little famous within the government circles. So this is about FINO. Hello, okay. Yeah, so FINO's vision is to achieve a breakthrough in the scale and reach of financial services for underserved masses in India and throughout the world. As you might know that there are about 50% of Indians are underbanked, and that's about 600 million. And across the world, this number is actually 2 billion. So that's almost 30%, 33% of the world population. And the mission that we started with 4.5 years back was that we want to service 25 million at least out of these 600 million within India. So that was in 2006 when we started with this vision. Now, I just wanted to touch upon, what is financial inclusion? I was happy to note that Murli actually touched upon it in his speech. But recently, last month, we had a meeting with Dr. Manmohan Singh himself. He wanted to actually look at the solution, which was making this sort of an impact on the ground, and also Mr. Montek Singh Ahluwalia. And they were very clear that if India is to grow at 10% plus, then the growth has to be inclusive. So it has to be inclusive growth. And right now, almost 50% of the Indian population is not included in the India growth story. Only the top 50% is growing, the bottom 50% is not. And, but the question is, how do we achieve this inclusive growth? And the first step towards that inclusive growth, because these bottom 50% are stuck into a catch-22 situation. They don't have access to financial services, because of which they are not able to come out of that poverty loop. So the first step in inclusive growth is financial inclusion, to be able to provide financial services to these bottom 50%. But the question is, how do we provide that? That's a good target, that please provide these services, but how do we? Because the current banking channels are not viable. You try to open a branch in India, in a village, and it's very expensive. When you walk into a bank branch, it costs the bank 60 to 70 rupees just for a single transaction. Now, whether you're depositing money or you're withdrawing money. A poor in a village will probably deposit, 40, 50 rupees. If the cost of doing the transaction is 70 rupees, obviously it's not viable. So what we need is a revolution in the way financial services are provided to these set of people. So not within India, but also across the world. So it is with this objective that Fino was born in 2006, incorporated. And the thought process was that, look, we are not going to provide these services only to a single customer, but to all the financial institutions within India and across India too. So we took equity from various investors within India. So we have participation from public sector, we have participation from private sector within India, and we have participation from international investors. So we have about 10 to 12 investors who invested into Fino. We wanted to be a sectoral entity to service all of these. Now, when we started designing the solution, we said, okay, now let's look at what are the hurdles in providing these financial services to the rural sector. And these are the 5 main ones that we came up with. The first one, foolproof identity. The people in the rural areas or the poor people don't have an identity. They don't have a ration card, they don't have the driving license, they don't have anything, because of which they're not able to get access to financial services. Second, they were illiterate. Third, in the areas in which they live, the infrastructure is not available. So that means there's no power, there's no connectivity. It's improved now, but 5 years back there was almost no connectivity. Accessibility and reach of the locations, because they were far away, far-flung places, and with no Pakka roads and no transport probably to reach those places. And then there was an information gap. Those people did not know what financial services were available. And we did not know how to tell them about this. So there was an information gap between the two. So any solution that we design should take care of all these 5 problems. And it should also be cost effective. So it should not cost 70 rupees, but it should cost 2 rupees to actually provide those services. So this is what Fino was able to come up with. So I'll just explain a little bit about the solution. Now our solution is based on smart cards. So each customer actually gets a smart card, and it's like an electronic passbook. And we also give them an identity. So we give them, which is based on biometric. So biometric solves the problem of the identity. So that becomes a unique identity of that person, which is then converted into a number. This concept, by the way, has been also used by UID now, looking at the Fino success story. So UID has actually used this concept. But all our customers already have a UID which is given by Fino, which is a Fino number. So this acts like as I said, electronic passbook, and it uses the biometric of the person to authenticate transactions. So nobody else can transact into that account except that person himself. So this was a very good way, especially for the women, because they were scared to put their money under the pillows. The husband will take away the money. So now they can put the money into the account, and only they can operate the account. Nobody else can. So unless the woman is there with her fingerprint, the account doesn't operate. Now the second problem was that how do we reach into the place? So we said we'll provide a doorstep banking. So we have agents which go out into the villages to provide services. Now these agents, they are like, the tellers of a bank, but they are under an uncontrolled environment. The teller is under a controlled environment of a bank, so you don't expect the teller to run away with the money. But the agent working in the field, working in a village, he can run away with the money. So all your system has to be very tight. So that's where the ICT played a very big role. So this concept actually became a reality because we were able to provide a very secure and robust solution which can work in the field. So we use these handheld devices, which are banking terminals, and which can operate only on biometric and can operate on the field without power and without connectivity. So all the operations can happen between the end customer and the agent without any connectivity. And at the end of the day, the agent then settles the pot, so then all the transactions then hit the backend. So these are two parts of our solution, the smart card, the biometric pot, and then we have the backend. And the backend, we said we'll put up the best backend available. So we have put up a very robust core banking solution at the backend to support all our operations on the field. And of course, you will see one of the picture which is of enrollment, where when the person is enrolled, his photograph, his biometrics, his data is captured, and then the biometric is given to the person. And the connectivity between the front and the back end, earlier it used to be through PSTN, but now with the mobile thing coming up, and 70% of the village is already connected, so we use GPRS for the connectivity. So this was about the components of the solution. And this is the whole solution end to end. So the picture actually shows the technical flow. And on top of this, we have built all the financial products. So savings, loans, cash credit, bill payments, credit scoring, insurance, DTH, term deposits. So all the products are on the single card. So one card, the person can operate everything that he wants. This is again a more detailed view of the transaction architecture, how the transaction flows from the user to the agent, to the middle tier, to the backend, which is the core banking solution. Now, this is what we started with in 2006. Now, Fino today, after 4 years or 4.5 years, we have 1,200 plus employees. We have 23 banks for which we are working. We have 10 MFIs, 5 insurance companies, and 14 governments. There's a central government as well as the state governments. They use our services to provide their products to the end customer. Number of locations, we operate out of 36,562 locations across India, 22 states, 278 districts. And we have 10,000 agents plus right now. By the end of this year, we'll probably have 25,000 agents. Now, this is what we have achieved. You see a number of 21 million here, but as of today, it's crossed 23.5 million. So we have touched 23.5 million customers across India on the ground. Each customer is part of a family of 4 or 5. So we have actually touched 100 million people in India today. And that is the reason, Dr. Manmohan Singh wanted to see that what technology is this which is, making an impact on so many people. So this is a technology which has scaled. I mean, a lot of people are doing pilots with, 100 people, 500 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people. But here we are talking about touching 100 million people. And this technology has been built in India. And of course, now we have international recognition. So we have people coming in from Africa, from South America, and some parts of Asia to look at, how the things are being done and to replicate in their country. So we're actually providing consulting to some of the countries in Africa. We have actually already started this in Nepal, if the gentleman from Nepal is here. So we're also working with a bank in Nepal, and it's actually operational there today. And in the next 1 year, it will be operational in Africa and some parts of South America too. So these are the strengths of Fino as a company. Of course, we have a lot of followers because this technology has become the de facto standard now. So all the competitors have now started using the same technology. And when the government comes out with specifications, whether it's for banking, for financial inclusion, the specifications are close to what we are using. Whether it's UID, who wants to use a biometric to create a number, that's based on what Fino has done in the field. And we provide doorstep banking. I mean, this is what you get when you are you have a normal bank account and you are an HNI, then you get a doorstep banking from the bank. But here we provide a doorstep banking to the bottom of the pyramid customer. And we have the reach and scale. We are the market leader, and we have a full product suite of all the products in the financial. So these are some of the awards and achievements. The latest one being the Financial Times Bottom of the Pyramid category award. So this was organized in London. There were 60 competitors across the world, and Fino got the award out of the 60. These are some of our marquee customers, so all the banks. So we're also working with J&K Bank in Kashmir. So that's also been a success story. We are working with the Everest Bank Limited in Nepal. And all the top banks work with us. These are some of the governments, insurance companies, and some of the international people that we have worked with. There are some of the news stories which come out in the media. The last milers, I heard that statement somewhere else also. So we are the last milers. We actually reach on the ground, and we have a technology that works on the ground. So India Today, a few months back, India Today had come out with this special issue, which is about nation builders. These are the companies and the institutions which will take India to 2020. And they had identified 50 such companies across India. Fino was one of them.
Great, Sunil. Thank you very much. I had been in the jury of India 2010, where they got an award. So I was chairman of the jury. So I had the opportunity to go through the great thing, and especially being in the Department of IT, I am proud that there is a stamp on our body that we are the body shoppers and we are the software coolies. So that is going out slowly, because other than Sabir Bhatia's thing, very little, other than CBS also, core banking solution is also one thing which is exported greatly. But this is again in the financial sector, doesn't matter, but it is something dealing with the bottom of the pyramid. And bottom of the pyramid itself, the coinage was given by late Prahladji.
Correct.
Any question
So any
on
questions?
Fino? Sunil will be very glad to answer.
I just have a quick question actually. I was wondering, do these cards also work for ATM machines, like normal ATM machines?
Can you be a little louder so that everybody can?
The smart cards which they have, do they also work with the ATM machines is what I'm asking.
Yeah, so two answers. One is technical. Technically, they would work with the normal ATM machines, but then the banks that we work with need to have an agreement with the rest of the bank that when a transaction gets started from this ATM, it will actually end up. So we have a MAC stripe at the back of the smart card. So we can actually code it for the with the use with the normal ATMs.
The reason I was asking that was because I was just wondering, you said those machines have a,
It's a smart card. Our normal ATM cards are MAC stripe cards, so it's a swipe.
Swipe card.
So our cards actually have a swipe as well as a smart card. Slowly you will see all the banking cards moving to smart cards. That's a trend in the Europe and the US because of fraud. So even in India, you'll see a movement towards smart cards.
Yes, actually, whether some of the government agencies or government offices are accepting this as a identity cards or something?
We have tried that, although it's officially not an identity card, but if you travel by air or travel by train and you show this card, people accept it as an identity card. But it's not part of the official list of the government.
It's there are 11 identity cards are given. If you take out an IRCTC ticket, e-ticket, then you will see what are those 11s. It's not there, but still it all depends on man-to-man people. I mean, identity identification process is actually the person who is doing it. Otherwise, okay, thank you. Put your hands together for Fino and especially for Sunil for giving a presentation.